As is the case on many of my projects, I'm usually inspired by a single piece or part that I'll build around. In this case, it's a handle off of an ultra bionic blaster toy that my mom found while on a walk. It was broken and pretty dirty, but I took it home, cleaned it up, took it apart, and there was a lot of great pieces that you'll see throughout this project and probably future ones as well. This handle will become the torso of this project, and so I cut it down to a more manageable size using my rotary tool and a cutoff wheel. Using a sanding drum attachment, I clean up the edges, and then I'll go in with a hand sanding stick and refine those edges as well. Now the two halves are looking pretty good, but they have quite a lot of open space in the middle, so I'm going to take this piece of 5mm EVA foam and glue it in the middle just to give it some extra structure. Now there is still going to be a fair amount of open space in the sides and the top, so I'll mix up a batch of milliput and fill those spaces. When I add the milliput, I'll also add some space for these wooden beads that will be the shoulder joints for the arm, and they'll attach just like this. Milliput is a two-part epoxy, so I mix up a batch and then add it to all the areas that I need to be filled up. They say it takes about 3 to 4 hours to fully harden, but I usually end up just leaving it overnight to make sure. The next morning, I can use my sanding stick and clean up all the edges. This stuff sands really well, but does produce some dust, so be careful with that. This is a broken piece of a Transformers toy, and I'll be using it as sort of the pelvis of the robot, but I do need to cut it shorter so that the legs aren't comically far apart. And I'll attach it to the torso with pins and superglue. I'll glue this action figure part to the back to add some details. For the arms, I'm starting with one of the barrels for the blaster toy, and I'm going to cut it down with my jeweler's saw to the right shape. I can then add my little joint here with that wooden bead, and I'm going to trim off a bit of excess plastic so that I can add this other plastic cap. For the bottom part of the arm, I'm using a piece of plastic tubing from a pump bottle and then adding a few other details with that same plastic. For the elbow joint, I'm using this wooden bead, and I'm going to drill a hole all the way through the side of it with a Dremel tool. I can then add a metal wire, and this will attach the upper part to the lower part of the arm. And to make sure that the lower part of the arm is snugly fit, I'm going to add a bit of EVA foam rolled around the bottom part of the wire, and then this will stick inside that plastic tube nice and secure. I can attach the top half to the bottom half of the arm, and then I can fill the holes in that bead with some other pieces of plastic. I've built plenty of hands from scratch in the past, so for this one I'm just going to use a pre-made Gundam hand that I had in my bits box. I also add some small details using some styrene that I cut out with a specialized hole punch. And the tool that I'm using here is called a wax gemstone applicator pen, and they're very helpful for adding small parts. This cool looking piece of plastic will become the armor on the side of the arms, so I cut it in half, add some googly eyes for flavor, and I'll keep these separate to make them easier to paint. Okay, let's work on the feet, which are oftentimes the hardest part for me to build. I think it's because they always require small pieces, and those can be hard to source and put together. But in this case, these feet actually went together pretty easily. I just kept adding parts until I was happy, and they turned out pretty cool. Alright, for the legs, I'm going to start with the upper half. These are some pieces from that blaster toy that I showed earlier, and this is a piece from that arm that I cut off. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'll add some bulk to those two pieces I showed earlier, like such. I cut it down to size, and then I'll add this half piece of plastic that I cut, and glue everything in place. And you know what? Let's add another googly eye for flavor, a yellow one this time. And I'll add some more pieces of that styrene using that gemstone tool. Moving on down to the bottom part of the leg, I'm using this piece of green plastic and gluing on some other pieces of plastic tubing. This will become the knee joint, and that will attach to the top part of the leg that I just built. It's a little too long though, so I end up cutting it in half and bulking it out with another piece of wood, some more pieces of wire, and a bunch of other greeblies that I had, including these pieces of filter. The head was super simple. It's just the nozzle of a spray paint can with a wire sticking out of the bottom, and then I will glue on a plastic cabochon for the eye. I make a small antenna with some metal tubes, and then I can attach it to the top with some super glue. I prepare all the parts for painting by adding wire stands to the smaller pieces, and then everything will get a coat of flat black primer using a rattle can. I use some silver acrylic paint and do a dry brushing over all the parts. I end up covering most of this with paint anyways, but I do a silver dry brush over everything because it gives me a good starting point. One of the colors that I very rarely work with is purple, and so I decided I would use this AK Deep Purple as my main base, and then I would use this Vallejo Light Orange as an accent. You'll also see me use these other colors throughout the painting process. And as you can see by this spread of different paint brands, I have no brand loyalty when it comes to my hobby paints. As I've talked about and shown in previous videos, the colorful paints don't tend to show up well on this black surface. So I paint a white layer first so that the colorful paint shows up better and I don't have to do as many layers. So everywhere I know I'm going to add color, I add a white layer first. And now that we are in the painting process of the video, I get the privilege to publicly thank my patrons. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I have a total of 2 patrons now, and I really appreciate both of you. If you too would like your name flying across my screen during the painting process, you can make that happen over on my Patreon. If you join the core builders, you'll get access to some cool behind the scenes footage, and your name will be shouted out in every single one of my videos. It's a great way to support me directly, and it helps these videos keep coming. If you want to join or just want to check it out, I'll have links in the description, on my channel, and at the end of this video. As with many of my scratch-built robots, I don't really know what this robot's job is, or what it did, what it does currently. And it wasn't until the final clear coat that I realized that this robot kind of reminds me of something, and that is the 2011 film Real Steel starring Hugh Jackman. Honestly, great film, underrated, and it's about giant robots that fight each other. And this robot to me kind of looks like the robots that were fighting in the early part of the movie in the sort of underground robot fighting pit that they went to. But that's just what came to my mind when I finally saw everything put together. I would love to know what you guys think this robot's purpose is. Let me know down in the comment section below. I love hearing all your ideas. And while you're down there, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing. I've got a whole bunch of other videos on my channel, over 100 to be exact. And if you like this one, I'm sure you'll like at least a few others. Alright, I promise I've finished my self-promotion bit. I will let you watch the rest of this painting in peace and relaxing music, and I'll pop back in when I have to say something. Alright, now that everything is put together, I can start the weathering process. This is black wash. It's a mix of isopropyl alcohol and black acrylic paint, and I just cover the entire thing with it, and then I'll use a paper towel or tissue paper and wipe away some of the excess. Washes like these are a great way to cover your entire project very quickly and easily. I could have called this project done after this first layer of wash, but I decided to just use it as a first layer of weathering, and I'll add some more detail work later with some silvers and rust. Applying this gunmetal gray in this fashion is supposed to imply that the paint has chipped and exposed the raw metal underneath. So I apply it on the edges of a lot of these pieces, as that is the area where the paint would have chipped more easily. My recommendation for this kind of process is start small, and you can always add more later. It's easier to add paint, it's much harder to take away paint once it's already dry. Moving on to these rust tone paints, I'm using a mix of these two darker ones first, and then I'll use the fresh rust on top. Having this layering effect makes it a bit more natural looking. I start by applying the rust in corners and joints, basically anywhere where moisture would accumulate naturally and turn into rust. Finally, I'm adding some of this oil stain paint. I water it down about 1:1, and I'm going to do exactly what the paint says. I'm adding oil stains. I like to add this around panels as it makes them stand out from the base and makes it look like they're leaking grease and oil. And with a few final touches of that oil effects, this project is pretty much done. Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. If you did like this video and you learned a thing or two, please let me know down in the comment section. Please consider dropping a like, consider subscribing. Like I said before, I've got a whole bunch of other videos on my channel, and if you like this one, I'm sure you'll like at least a few others. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.